unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's back. He's back. Christopher Rausch is back. The Raw and Unscripted show every single Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Your place to have raw and unscripted conversations where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What's going on, Misfits for Life? You are my crew. You're my team. You're my family. We're here every single week, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Tuesdays. Yes, bringing you the raw and unscripted conversations with either myself or a preferred guest, which we're going to have the opportunity to have a guest tonight. Last week was a solo show, just me riffing on a bunch of stuff about how to have a kick-ass life. So thank you guys all for the comments and the back channel stuff on that. I appreciate you guys. I'm glad that was impactful. We got a lot more impactful stuff coming up for you here at Kickass International. Of course, we got the group coaching program launching January 11th. So for those of you guys who are interested in that, go over to my website, ChristopherRausch.com. Check it out, group coaching tab. You'll see all the information there. We got more information coming up on that. Going to do a couple of videos in there just to let you know exactly what the program is about. But we appreciate you being here live or on the replay, of course, every single week. Here on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And of course, you at anywhere your favorite podcast or store, because this is not only a video cast. If you're listening to this on the podcast on iTunes or iHeart or Spotify, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, of course, there's a video cast that accompanies it. And you can find that on YouTube. And of course, you can find that through my website, ChristopherRausch.com. Plug. So we appreciate you guys being here, whether you're here live or on the replay. And it's our intention every single week that we have these conversations that so you can walk away from this taking one or two things that actually you'll implement in your day starting tomorrow. That's the original intention of the show, is to be able just to give people opportunities every single week to learn more things about themselves, learn more, and discover more strategies to be able to implement to change what it is that you're working on and what's not working for you. And that's going to be the core of tonight's topic tonight. So I'm excited to be able to introduce this gentleman. It's been long overdue. Many of you guys know him, and it's been a pleasure to get to know him over the last year. We actually started off doing lives together, so it's going to be a good conversation to talk about that, talk about how we got started. But I just have tremendous respect for this gentleman. He's an impact in his community. He's an impact with the people who follow him. He has his own show. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, talking about the journey, but most importantly, we want your questions. We want your comments, to be able to chime here in the conversation. If you have anything that you want to ask either one of us, we're more than happy to have you do that. So without any further ado, please welcome to the show, Mr. Ken Walls. Ken Walls, welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show, brother.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Is my signal okay?
Your signal is good.
Okay, good.
Your signal is good.
We had a moment.
Well, technology has always been crazy, man. I've had some crazy stuff happen to me recently where all of a sudden my internet will just stop, or my screen will freeze, or other digital stuff. It's kind of crazy. My friend told me that I might have high energy, and that my high energy interferes with electronics. And I'm like, no, would you really think that I have high energy? Not at all. Not at all. We got Scott. Dude. We got Scott in the house. What's up, Scott, Chris, and Ken Walls? Yes, absolutely.
You got to roll the R on his name. It's Scott Ricard. Joe Ingram. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. No. Joe's in the house.
No,
yeah, I'm surprised he didn't say, what's up, party people?
Hey,
good to see you, Joe. Joe stops by the Raw and Unscripted show every once in a while, says a couple of things, and then he leaves. Good to see you, Joe. Thank you for being.
He never sticks around for things.
But he's a mover and a shaker.
We can talk about him behind his back.
Oh yeah, or talk about him to his front. What's up, Joe? Good to see you. You know, it's funny. You know, I prefaced having you on the show is the fact that it was March of last year. And it's funny that Joe's here. It was March of last year. I get a message from Glenn saying, here, be in this thing and this Zoom thing. And I hadn't heard from Glenn in a while, Glenn Morshower, of course. And then all of a sudden it was like, poof, I show up in this Zoom room and there's Joe Ingram and Bill Banashek and then you. And then all of a sudden we're going live and we're doing these things. And we're having these great conversations at the beginning of COVID. And it was just so much fun. It was fun for us to get together and share different perspectives and keep people inspired, keep people laughing, keep people motivated during those lockdown times. So I look back on those when I see the videos come up in the history feed. I always watch them and just laugh. And I'm just so appreciative because it really kicked off a lot of opportunity for both yourself and myself and everybody that we work with to be able to continue that and continue making an impact. So I have mad respect for you for continuing that. We got lots of people in the house. What's up? Brian Hess is in the house. He goes, look at this. What's up? Thank you for being here, Brian.
Brian and I talked on the phone today or yesterday. Man, they're running together. Yesterday, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Good
nice.
dude.
We got Robert Brooker in the house. Robert, thank you so much for being here. Karen Griffin in the house. She says, good evening. Good evening. So
Karen, Robert.
Thank you guys all for being here. We appreciate you. So again, if you missed the intro on that, if you have any questions for Ken or myself, if you have any comments, please go ahead and share those in here. But tonight, I just want to jump off into the conversation. Ken, you and I joked around about it in the back channel about having you on here and kind of just what we would want to talk about. And we talked about it a little bit before we went live, is the fact that you and I both want to impact people tonight and get them to think differently about their situations that they're in right now. So I'm just going to ask you the question, what do you think holds people back from achieving greatness in their life?
Oh, man. You know, I ask that. I've interviewed over 400 celebrities and entrepreneurs on my show, and I ask that question at the end of every single one of my interviews. And, you know,
that's why I asked it.
Huh?
That's why I asked it, because I want to see what you cumulatively say about that.
You know, I mean, dude, the number one answer is fear. You know, I think honestly, I don't think it's fear. I think that it is the self-talk conversations that people are having with themselves. You know, I got sober back in 2002, 19 years clean and sober now. And I started studying the heck out of, and I ended up, like, somebody gave me Scott Peck's book, The Road Less Traveled. And then somehow I ended up reading Deepak Chopra, and I read some other books in that genre. And then Dr. Wayne Dyer was introduced to me. And dude, that is when shit got real for me. And it got real really fast. And I started really, really digging into what was going on with me. Like, you know, a normal person, one of us is frozen. Okay, unfrozen. Frozen? Are you? Can you hear me? Rutro Relroy. Can anybody hear me? Okay, you guys hear me still?
Of course, you're rocking and rolling.
You were frozen. I didn't know if maybe it was me that was frozen or whatever. But anyway, so I started reading Dr. Dyer. Started really getting into what was happening in my brain. Like, why would I drink myself almost to death intentionally? Not like once in a while, but literally every day. Like I would approach the death line every day. I consumed that much alcohol, and you know, by the time I quit drinking, I was bloated. I was jaundiced. Nobody in my family, didn't have friends, didn't want friends because they got in the way of my drinking. And so normal people don't do that shit. And I wanted to, you know what I mean? They just don't. And I was like, what is going on with me, man? And so I'm digging into all of this stuff. I'm reading all of Dr. Dyer's stuff. I'm reading, there were so many authors, so many amazing authors' books that I read. What's the one dude's name? I'll remember later. But you know, I started looking T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and all of these things. Like, I'm like, okay, I got to dig in. I got to figure this out. I got to know why my brain did that shit, and how can I redirect it? Now we have people like Dr. Joe Dispenza on the scene, who's doing unbelievable freaking things with the human brain and the mind and the way we think. And you know, and so I still continue to study. And I feel like after 19 years, I've started to scratch the surface a little bit. But I'm still not there, man. I still am not like, and I don't know that I'll ever be there. It's a journey, right? So I think that was a very long answer to answer one question. And that was, what stops people? And I think it's honestly, it's the conversations they're having with themselves.
It's so true, Ken. I was sitting there thinking about it as well, because I was thinking about, does fear really hold us back, or is it, a lot of it has to do with that inner critic? I sit there and think about, how do we silence that inner critic? How do we tell that guy to buzz off? And I've heard a couple of different strategies, and I want to get your opinion on this. Is somebody told me to name it something else. Like if it was like, let's just say Joe. Like when you have that nagging inner critic inside of you, just like, shut up, Joe. Shut up, Joe. I'm not going to listen to you right now, Joe. And like giving it a different name and just being able to like slap it down. What has worked for you to be able to silence that inner critic in your journey of going through what you've gone through?
It's honestly, dude, it's really simple. And I went through, I can't, like what you're saying, I'm sure it'd be great for some people. Mine actually is Joe Ingram. I can call it by first and last name. No, but like, okay. So in recovery, there are 12 steps and those 12 steps have to do with digging out all of the shit, the dirt, and then doing something with that dirt, and then taking your life and redirecting it to give back to the world and help other people. In recovery, it's mainly drunks or drug addicts or whatever, right? So, when you look at it and you go, well, we all have this inner critic. We all have this guy, this gal, this whatever that's telling us that we're incapable, we're not worthy, that we're heading in the wrong direction, we're going to fail. Oh my God, you're going to crash and burn. You better stop. You're going to, all of that crap. And what it is for me is I've got to go, where are those voices coming from?
Yeah.
Where are they coming from? Because it's not me. My natural, and Glenn Morshower talks about this all the time. My natural state is like, my natural state is I was born a winner. Zig Ziglar wrote a book called You Were Born to Win. Or maybe it was Tom. I have it. I think it was Tom. But anyway, Zig talked about that too. But so your natural state, being born into this world, you're a baby. Like you're completely indifferent about all of it. Like it doesn't like you're not, as a baby, you don't care about whether you're going to win or lose. You just want to eat and poop and, be held or whatever. So, and does it, my question is, does it really change? I don't think so. I still want to eat and poop and be held. Right. So what happens? What happens is it's the adults around us that start setting limitations. They start programming our mind. And as we go through this programming, which T. Harv Eker talks about in Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, we start going through this programming and all of a sudden we're adults and we're fully functioning under someone else's program. So those voices that are telling me that I can't do it are not necessarily mine. They may be mine because of the thousands of times I've been told no, or that I'm not capable or whatever. So now they just naturally become my voices. But what I love is Dr. Joe Dispenza says that 90% of the thoughts that we had today, of our 60,000 plus thoughts, 90% of them are the same exact thoughts we had yesterday. And that 50% of them, we're walking around, we're telling ourselves these stories all day long, right? 50% of that shit is made up. We're embellishing it. We're making up lies about ourselves and what we're capable of or not capable of. And we're trying to live a normal life. That's crazy. Like, what is normal?
That's why we called it Stop the Insanity, because it really is. It's the insanity that I was telling somebody the other day that we actually lie to ourselves and we think that we're going to pull one over on ourselves. It's like, really? When does that wake up period happen when you go, really, all the shit that really is not endearing myself to be able to become successful? And when I think about that, Ken, I think about my journey and being told that I was stupid so much and not having my own self-confidence until way after I left my mom and all that stuff. And the road to being able to change the chatter that was going on in my brain was to be able to find empathy and forgiveness for the person who did a lot of that programming, which was my mom. And that was not an easy process. How has that been for you in your road to recovery, your road to becoming strong, your road to becoming a dad? What part of empathy and forgiveness have you had to tackle, and what have you learned from that? And what potentially can you help other people to be able to deal with it?
Well, I will say this, that if you don't learn how to forgive, and not learn how, scratch that. If you don't forgive, you may even become financially very, very well off. You may become a multi-gazillionaire. But if you don't learn to, or if you don't forgive the people who've harmed you from childhood on, if you don't learn forgiveness, you're going to have a very miserable existence on this planet, because you'll take that shit out on everybody around you. And eventually there'll be nobody around you. So I think that for me, I remember, somebody saying to me, who was your number one offender as a kid that hurt you? And I said who it was. And he said, you have to forgive them. I said, you're out of your flipping mind. He goes, no. Listen, you have to pray for that dude. I said, I'll pray for that dude to burst into flames. I ain't praying for him. Are you high? Like, what are you talking about, dude? I thought this was a program of sobriety, bro. And you're like wasted right now or something. But and this guy said, look, if you don't do it, you're going to drink again and you will die. Wow. And you know that already. And I was like, shit.
Sign me up.
No, I wasn't. I really wasn't like that. I was like, whatever, dude, and I went home and I was contemplating, because I'm always trying to negotiate my way out of having to do things like that. That's uncomfortable, man. And so I couldn't find a way out. And I said, okay, fine. And I prayed that night and I said, God bless so-and-so, and, please forgive him. Amen. And dude, I did not mean it. I honestly wanted to say, and while you're at it, kill that SOB and drag him into the pits of hell.
P.S. ...
Yeah, right. Then say amen. But I didn't, I just let it go. And then, dude, about 30 days into doing that ritualistically every night, that prayer, this epiphany occurred for me, and it was a spiritual awakening, not a giant one. Like there wasn't a burning bush or any of that, but I had this awareness occur, that I meant it, that I meant it for the first time in my life. I literally meant it when I said, God bless this dude and please forgive him. And I was like, wow, I'm free. And I had heard so many, and look, it still was a process, because things still boiled up, I mean, that was 19 years ago. And I remember thinking, like, I hate journeys, but life's a journey, man. It's not a destination, but I hate that. I want to, like, look, I that's what I loved about Star Trek, man. You could like just instantly beam yourself to wherever you wanted to go, right? When I want to go to Disney World, I want to be there right now. Like, I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait to get the passes in and all. And I don't want to wait on all that. Let's go now, but
right.
I had to learn patience. I had to learn, all of that stuff, and forgiveness is the most important thing I learned.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Ken. When you were talking about that, it's so funny what comes up and what's been coming up in a lot of conversations for me recently, which is what you just talked about, the hero's journey. You're familiar with Joseph Campbell, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah. So one thing I've been recommending, I don't know if you've ever seen, have you ever seen Finding Joe, the documentary? It's on YouTube.
No, I haven't.
It's amazing. Actually, I just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was talking to a buddy of mine and we're good friends. And he's like, man, I'm just so tired of learning lessons. He's learned a lot of lessons. I'm like, dude, I've learned a lot of lessons. We're all going to learn a lot of lessons. That's part of the hero's journey. And I asked him if he knew about that. And he says, no, not really. And I said, well, when you think about any show like Star Wars or Wizard of Oz, the unsung hero leaves home and goes through these battles and becomes a warrior and comes back home to teach everybody else how to do that. And so I explained it to him and I told him to go watch that documentary, Finding Joe. And so after I got off the phone with him, we did a Zoom call. I said, you know what? I got a little bit of time. I threw it up on my screen here in the studio and I sat back and I watched it. And it reminded me so much that we do continue to go do that hero's journey. And that for me, once I had the perspective that there was no panacea that I was sold to when we were kids, right? When you think about it, we were kids. It's like, okay, go to school, get good grades, do what you're told, graduate school, go to college, get a house, get a family, do all these different things. And then one day you get to retire. There's this place in this time where you get to retire, where you think as a kid, you're like, okay, I get to the spot where I don't have to do anything anymore. I don't have to learn any more lessons. I don't have to try anymore. I've proven my point, and now I get to retire. And then we get older and we figure out like you accomplish one set of accomplishments, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh, there's more. Oh, there's new challenges and stuff like that. So I tell everybody, it's like once you start to have the perspective of going back to, like we've been talking about, being a kid and having curiosity. When you and I were kids, we were like, let's go do it. Let's go do it. We'll figure it out. We're going to jump it. We're going to do it. We're going to figure it out. So if you guys have never seen that, go back and watch the hero's journey. But another component, when I think about that inner talk, Clan, is something that I struggled with, was identifying myself and loving myself for who I was, because I was constantly trying to be somebody I wasn't, to make everybody like me. It was a carryover from my mom. It's like, as long as I can figure out what you want and I can make you happy and I can impress you, then I'll get validation and I'll feel good and I'll have significance and everything. What has been that journey for you in figuring out self-love? Because I can imagine, what you've been through, there was points in your time where you hated yourself, you didn't like yourself, but now you're at a point now where you're a loving father, you do great work in the community. How did you get to that process of loving yourself?
You know what, dude? It comes down to forgiveness, but it's not about forgiving other people. It's about forgiving yourself. Because when you're going through shit in life, and all of us do, everybody does. Everybody has, we've all, like, I remember this guy sitting in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. We're in this circle in these chairs, and somebody was complaining about their life, and that drove up in a freaking $120,000 BMW and all that stuff, and excuse me, this old timer sitting there goes, look, I'll tell you what, if we all took all of our problems and we could package them and just take every problem you have, every challenge you have, every fear you have, you throw it into the middle of the room, everybody else throws theirs in, you can go over and pick up anybody else's problems you want. You're going to bring that shit back here within 24 hours and want your stuff back. So learn how to be grateful. But the number one thing is learning to forgive yourself, because when you're going through all the crap in life, one of the, especially if it's as a child, one of the natural tendencies is to start lashing out, start doing dumb things, start trying to prove to the world that you're worthy, that you're capable, that you're not all these things that the bad adults are trying to convince you that you are. And so you start doing dumb things to get attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those dumb things, sometimes, at least for me, they were really dumb. And they caused insecurity. Every time you do something unethical, where you're going out of what is right. So just say unethical. You're doing something unethical. You're going. Sorry, I'm the comments. I need to turn them off for a minute, and I'll go back and answer them. I'm
gonna adjust the comments in a second. So just get out of you get out of host mode.
Scrolling, and they distract me. But you start doing things wrong that are that are unethical. and then you push all that stuff down inside, right? So as you're doing these bad things, it just keeps compiling. It makes it worse and worse and worse until eventually you have to address the core. And when you address the core and you go, okay, and that's what I learned through doing the steps in recovery is, you're digging all this stuff out, and over time you're peeling back layers of the onion, and you're seeking forgiveness. You're seeking, you're going out and you're actually talking to the people that you caused harm to, or trying to, and trying to make amends, or making amends, and righting what was wrong and fixing all the crap from your past. That's the hard part, because most people, you're not going to go see, and now there's another side to this coin, but most people are not going to go call on the 20 girlfriends they had on drunken nights out or whatever, and say, hey, sorry for messing up your life if I did, or like, you're not going to, most people aren't going to do that. But doing the right thing is not comfortable. It's not the right, doing the right thing is hard. Going back and cleaning up shit that you did wrong is very, very difficult. But when you've had a spiritual awakening, so to speak, where it's like, I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I know this: the outcome's going to be really worse than the direction I was headed if I continue heading in that same direction. So I've got to shift gears. I got to change course. I've got to change playmates and playgrounds. I got to get away from all the bullshit people that aren't good for me. And I got to look at life in a different way and see how I can help my fellow human after I've helped me, and start learning to love. Because how many people, dude, I'm not going to try to interview you, but how many people have you met in life where you're like, maybe they're a coach, and you can tell that they like, maybe you'd be a good coach someday if you deal with the crap you've got to deal with first. Like, why are you trying to give away something you don't have? You know what I mean? It's if I go, hey, dude, I'm going to make you a millionaire. Let me give you $1 million, right? But I don't have $1 million to give you. I can't make you a millionaire. Like, you can't give something away that you don't have. So seeking that spiritual inner peace, that love, that place that where I can have empathy, but I can also still be stern or firm, if that makes sense. Anyway, I feel like I just went on a long journey there. Sorry about that, dude.
No, That's all good. It's all good. That's why the show is called Raw and Unscripted. That's why it's called Raw and Unscripted, because that way we just kind of just go at it and see what flies out. Because I love it. Because you're vibing. We got some people in the house. We got Robert's in the house. We got Karen in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Tom's in the house. He says, Oka Akamaka Waka in the house. What's up, Tom? Thank you so much for being here, brother. Appreciate you. We got Johanna in the house. Johanna, thank you. She says, hi, Ken. Hi, Chris. Got Phil in the house. Says, hey, Tom, Jen. Johanna says, yes, Finding Joe. Yes. So you've seen that. That's good. Robert says here, the magical land of retirement. There is no such thing. Andrew in the house. Andrew Heston says, patience, prayer, lack of positivity, and forgiveness eventually works. Yes, a lack of positivity. Now that takes time. Self-love, a good thing, but it takes time. Yeah, the shit of self-forgiveness takes time, but it is possible. Absolutely, Andrew. Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate you being here. And Andrew also goes on to say, instead of lashing out, you finally find a way to help others. No. Yes, absolutely. You either come from a place of love or a place of fear, which is definitely I found in my life. And I found that I came from fear, even though I didn't think I was fearful, that I was still coming from a place of fear until I had my coach back in 2019. She's like, fuck, dude, you're in totally survivor mode. I'm like, I'm not in survivor mode. I've accomplished things. Like, no, you're in fear mode. You have plan A, B, and C, and D, and E, and F, and G. You need to get out of that shit. Talk about being a coach that was incongruent. I'm like, that's interesting. Let me process that for a minute. And there was a lot of truth to it. And a lot of healing came out of that too, because it was like I wasn't accepting myself for who I was. Mo Rock is in the house. What's up, Mo? Says love, Mo? Chris and Ken. Thank you so much for being here, Mo. Appreciate you, guy. We got Susan in the house. And we got so thank you, Susan. She says, hi, guys.
Hey, Susan.
What's up, Susan? Karen says here, it's all good, Ken. It's all
Love
good, Ken.
Karen. Karen's awesome.
So thank you guys all for being here. Thank you guys for chiming in. Of course, you have any questions, of course, ask them of us.
And
so
can I ask him to do something?
Sure.
Like, everybody should share this out, dude. Like, share it. Sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. Actually, I have a little thingy for that. Please share if this is impacting you.
No, share it even if it's not. It could impact somebody that you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Go Live ambassador himself is giving us a tip. Yes, actually, don't be afraid to ask for what you want, right?
I mean, here's the thing though, man, because it may not impact somebody watching, but there may be somebody on their friends list that it would impact.
True,
saying, man.
Yeah. Got Daryl in the house. Daryl, thank you so much for being here. He says forgiveness releases and lets God take the burden. Truth.
Amen.
Yes. Thank you so much. And you know what? It's funny. We were talking about forgiveness. It's actually not funny, but I realized that from my own situations that I had been through and the people that I've helped go through their situations, one thing to do is to sometimes we find fault, we find guilt, and we find shame in situations that have happened to us when we were kids. We think that we were part of the responsibility of what that happened. And to be able to have forgiveness for ourselves and to be able to understand that it wasn't our fault. It wasn't our fault. But to your point, and to the point we're trying to direct here to the viewers and the listeners, it is our fault. It is our responsibility if we continue to stew in it, if we continue to write that story for ourselves. And we all have the opportunity to become more aware of the situations that we're in, to be able to accept that it is our responsibility, not to blame anybody else, and then to take responsibility and take action from that. You know me, I'm the no excuses coach. So I'm curious, Mr. Ken Walls, and I know you coach people and you help a lot of people out. What are some of the excuses that you're hearing lately for why people think they're held back? And what can we do to share with them how they can overcome some of those excuses?
I mean, it's a variety of things. I mean, honestly, you said something a minute ago, everything about fear or love, right? Which is from that there's a woman named Marianne Williamson that wrote a book called A Return to Love. And it's her summary of A Course in Miracles. There's a huge book called A Course in Miracles. And if you summarize A Course in Miracles, it's this. It says, everything we experience as human beings can be categorized under one of two categories, and that's fear and love. So I like when you said that, I was like, oh, that's from A Course in Miracles. I don't know if you've read that or not, but it's so true. And if we don't I see, I mean, people tell me all kinds of things, and a lot of people will get into coaching, and there's a huge problem with wanting to take responsibility. Like taking personal responsibility for your crap in life is very difficult, man. And even though it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'll take personal responsibility, dude, actually taking responsibility, that's one part of the equation. But the second part of the equation is changing.
Yes.
Right. So if you say, dude, every night when I get done with my live stream, I have a headache. And if I say, well, dude, do you think maybe it's the bandana you wear? And I don't know. I mean, I tie it really tight. It might be. And I go, well, dude, here's an idea. Well, why don't you stop wearing the bandana and just see? Give it a week or something. Right. And you go, no, man, I got to wear the bandana. I've been wearing, that's my signature. That's me. Like I'm the freaking bandana guy. And I go, yeah, but dude, it's causing severe pain for you. And you're like, and you're living in this story of, I'm the bandana guy. You don't get it. And okay, fine, dude. So a lot of people are comfortable, man. They're in that, they're right there. They're vibrating at this frequency, and they just they're staying there. No matter what you say to them, no matter how hard you push, you can't, and I say this all the time, look, I'll coach you, but I am not going to do the work for you. You got to do your own push-ups. Take the bandana off if it's hurting your head. Right. And I'm not saying I just thought of that, like, look at it, but like, so many people.
Oh yeah, no, people
like,
do that. It's like, well, it hurts when I do this. Well, stop doing that.
Stop doing it. Like, but people don't want to do it, man. They don't want to take Jack Canfield wrote a book with a woman named Janet Switzer. I forget her name. I think it's Switzer, called The Success Principles. Ooh. And the very first it's on a shelf. It's right there, dude. It's right there is the book.
That's not a blue screen?
No, those are all my books, bro.
I know, I'm fucking with you.
I was like, what? So
I had somebody ask me if those are real guitars the other day, and I'm like, no, that's a green screen. And they're like, really? It looks real. And I went and picked one up, and they're like, oh.
I was like, yeah. But the very first principle in that book is take 100% responsibility for everything in your life. And dude, it seems like such a novel idea or a simple idea. And quite frankly, people don't do it. They don't do it. They're in this pattern and they're going to stay in this pattern. No matter what you say or do, they're staying there until one thing occurs. And you know what that is?
Rock bottom.
Rock bottom, man. It's got to be pain. Pain is the greatest motivator, man. Dude, tell me I can't do something. Just say, dude, there's no way you can learn how to play guitar. Well, no, that's not fair. I've played since I was 7. So, but somebody told me you can't learn drums. Like you don't have the rhythm for it. I was like, oh, really? I went and bought a freaking huge set of drums. I'm like, I will be a percussionist. And I sucked really bad, man. And then I started taking some lessons from this dude. I started learning how to play Tone Loc songs and a little bit of Rush and some, and I was like, all right. I mean, I started learning how to play drums because somebody told me. I said, man, I love the drums. I just love drums and Metallica. I just love the drums in their songs and their music. And so somebody said, you can't do it. I was like, okay, watch me. And and I'm not unique. Most people are like that, but there's a lot of people that it's more of a, if you tell them they can't do something, it's like that. It affirms what they already think. Like, and they don't take action. They don't do anything to prove those voices in their head wrong. They stay stuck and they don't do anything about it. And it makes me crazy, man. It makes me crazy. I can think of coaching clients over the years that like, I know where they are in life and it's not changed at all for them. It's not changed. Life is not changing. They're in the same rut and it sucks. Because I want to go, stop it. Like you're in the same freaking place you were 6 years ago. Stop. It's the same it's what Joe Dispenza talks about. It's the same story over and over.
Yep. You're writing a script. We're writing a story in our head with everything that we're doing, everything we're believing, and everything we're focusing on. To your point, Tony Robbins talks about this. We do things for two reasons. Usually we want to do things because of certainty. We can't deal with uncertainty because uncertainty leads to that fear, leads to that back chatter, leads to that, oh, here's all the things that I've ever done. So as long as I do things that are certain, then I'm safe and then I'm comfortable. But comfortable equals miserable, in my opinion. For me, what it was that changed my trajectory, and when I found what my big why was back in 2008. I was at a funeral and I was sitting in the back of the church and they were eulogizing one of my coworkers. And I thought about it, Ken. I was like, if I died tomorrow, who would show up and what would they say?
Right.
And at that point, people would have shown up with cases of beer, Jack Daniels, Motley Crue, Bon Jovi records, and talked about all the stupid shit Chris did, all the times he was drunk, all the times he chased girls, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah. And he was a homeless dropout who made it good in his life. And I thought about it, I'm like, do I really want everybody showing up and talking about all that shit? Is that really where I'm still at? Those were things that I did so far in the past, but I was still identified with them because I was still repeating a lot of those behaviors, even though I was growing. So at that point for me, I went home and I said, I'm going to take pen to paper. And I wrote my eulogy. The thing that most people are scared of in talking about death and thinking about that. And I wrote out my eulogy. And from that point forward, Ken, when I got to the crux of it that says Christopher Rausch will have fought for what was right and what was fair and risked for which that mattered and left the earth a better place for who he was and what he did. From that point forward, I had a bigger why. I had a bigger picture. I had a bigger reason to make better decisions. I had a bigger why to hold myself more accountable. I had a bigger why. I had leverage in my life because now I started thinking about in terms of regrets and pain. And I psychologically held myself to that. Like, would I regret not doing this? Would I regret not saying this? Would I regret not producing this? And it became leverage for me to get out of that. What has that been for you in your life? Has it been becoming a dad? What has it been for you to find out what your big why and what is your big why?
Well, I honestly, I think that I still work on my big why every day. My big why is I'm looking at the comments again, and Andrew Heston, sucks like a vacuum cleaner, but you put the focus on others instead of yourself. And I do. My big why is, how do I help? I talked to a guy today it was mind blowing. He's a legend, college championship football player, and was in the NFL. And this guy is amazing. And we were talking about this, like, how do you redirect the story that you've been telling yourself for, I don't know how old he is, but I'm 53. So I have a story I've been telling myself for the better part of 53 years about who I am and where I'm going and what I'm supposed to do. And I believe that we're all put here with a specific purpose that we're supposed to be doing. Mine is to help people find their greatness internally and start pushing that greatness out of them, helping them discover because we're not meant to, man, this could offend some people. I don't mean this offensively. You're not meant to be a factory worker. I don't believe that. I don't believe that any of us are built to go work at a factory, punch a time clock, and clock out and go home and eat and do that. I just don't believe that was your purpose when you were brought here. As Glenn Morshower talks about, well, and a lot of other people, but you want a race. Like there was a race of you and 500 million other sperm that raced to meet that egg and create you. And then after the conception occurred, all of these miracles of cells splitting and doubling and doing all of these things to create a human being that comes out, whether you're perfect or imperfect, doesn't matter. You came out, you got vision, you got a heartbeat, your lungs are breathing, you've got a purpose and a contract that you signed with God before you ever left to come to earth. You agreed to come here and do some shit, and you're not doing it because you're punching a time clock. You're doing whatever it is. I'm not saying everybody go quit your job. I'm saying find out what it is, man. Reach deep down inside. Get with somebody that can help you pull that out. Get on purpose. And when you get on, like me, I hung up today, and honestly, when I hung up with this guy, he's like, man, you have got me fired up, dude. I'm like, and this is a guy that's reached the highest levels of sports you can reach. Like he's been there, right? He's like, he was literally on the Ohio State Buckeyes championship team in 2002 and was one of the key players on the team. And I was like, I can't believe I'm motivating this guy. I find what he's done motivating,
That is beautiful.
It's unbelievable. So, my purpose is to help people get their greatness out of, I don't know how to put that in words. I need to figure that out, but helping people pull their own greatness out, and get past all the BS, man.
Yep. You got to consider
crazy.
You got to consider that's like energy flows where focus goes. And that's what Ken and I are trying to tell you guys tonight, is that whatever it is that you're focusing on, and you alluded to it before, Ken, you talked about, you have to make different choices about the people that you're around. Stephen Covey talks about in 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People, like, who are your 5? Who are the people that you're around the most? Scott and I had talked about it in the group coaching program, like, who's your team? Who's the person that you trust? Who's the person that empowers you? Who's the person that holds you accountable? And who's your mentor? Talk to us about that, the importance of having the right people in your tribe.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you right now that this is where shit's gonna get real, because if you're hanging out with losers, you're going to be a loser. I don't give a flipping crap how strong you think you are, You're not strong enough to overcome 5 people, 6 people, 10 people around you who are filled with negativity. I know people who are 53 years old, my age, that I went to high school with, and they've sent me friend requests, and I will not be friends with them. And first off, you only get 5,000 friends, and I'm always at the limit. I'm not going to be friends with a bunch of guys that are posting pictures and videos of them out during the week at bars, raising hell at bars, drinking, just pounding them down and getting drunk, and at 50 years old. Like, no. Like, hey,
not a little bit.
If you want that life, go for it, man. I don't want that life, and I'm not surrounding myself with people that want that life, period. And if you don't like it, I don't care. It's my life, dude. It's my life, not yours. You can go do your shit, whatever you want to do. I'm not doing it. And I'm not having people around me that do that. You know what I'm talking about. So the most important thing, Grant Cardone told me this. The most important thing that you're going to do with your life is make sure that you're surrounded with the people that you actually want to be like. I'm friends with Glenn Morshower, multimillionaire, famous actor. I'm friends with Mark Victor Hansen and his wife. He's the number 1 best-selling author of all time. Mark is one of my dearest friends. He's sold over 500 million books. I want to be like, excuse me, like that guy. I do not want to be like the guys posting pictures of them pounding beers and trying to pick up chicks at 53 years old in the freaking bars. That's not, it ain't me, man. I don't want anything to do with that, So I want to be like Grant Cardone. Like Grant and I did a clubhouse room a couple of weeks ago. He hung out with me for like 3 hours in there. We had over 1,000 people in that room at one point. Those are the kind of people that I want to hang out with. Those are the people that, like Grant wakes up every day on purpose. Like he knows where he's going. Like he's up and I know where we're going. Right. Same with Mark, same with everybody in my circle, man. It's crazy. And if you're not like that, you get the opportunity, like, hey, let's figure this out. How can we get you there? And if you don't get there, you're out. I don't want anything to do with you. So it's important. Does that answer your question?
It does. I sit there and it's so beautifully said, Ken, because so many people I find don't want to let go of what was. They feel like if they let go of a person from their past, that it somehow erases part of their past. I had a situation where I've had to wish people well in my past. Even my sister, I wished her well. I was like, okay, I'm not going to deal with your craziness, because I have a belief that people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I didn't make that up. Mm-hmm. So I actually had a buddy of mine. We were really good friends when I was homeless. He was the guy that I first had my first apartment with. He was 7 years older than I was. Taught me a lot of stuff. We partied. We had great times. We went to concerts and did crazy shit together. But through the years, I started changing. I started growing. Once I started going back to school, it was like, what are you doing? I stopped doing drugs. I stopped hanging around those guys as much. And in a sense, I wished him well. I was like, all right. Then he got sober. He got into Jesus and went hell bent on that. Told me I was going to go to hell for listening to AC/DC. I'm like, 3 years ago, you were like, totally doing this. And then so over the years we would connect and I'd be like, hey, Robert, it's good. It's cool. Hey, what's up? How you doing? And then probably about 5 years ago, I can't remember if it was before or after I had my son Jackson, but he had emailed me and he what was funny is he was stalking me, saying nasty things about me online. And then all of a sudden he sends me an email and says he wants to reconnect. And I'm like, really? And the first part of me was like, oh, I want to reconnect. It'd be kind of cool. But then there was a part of me, I'm like, that was so many Chris's ago. That was so many identities ago that I'm not even that same person. It would be cool to talk for maybe an hour and go, oh, remember all the stupid shit we did? But we have nothing in common anymore. And so here's what I did. I sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity just to say thank you for everything. And I wish you well, all the best. But he had fucked with me over my years. And I was just like, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. I wish you well. So I wrote him this really nice email. I said, Robert, we had some great times, man, doing this and doing that. I appreciate this and, being friends with your brother, blah. But I wish you well, man. I said, I just don't think our paths are going to cross. I don't think it's cool, but I wish you all the best. I hope you and your family are awesome. Bye. He writes me back. He writes me back 5 minutes later. Fine. I'll erase your number forever. And I just was like, I'm so glad I sent the fucking email, you jackass.
Right.
I'm like, adios. But if I just said, oh, let's go ahead and do this, it's down a trip down memory lane, dealing with all that baggage. You got to get around the right people, ladies and gentlemen. You have to get around the right people. You have to get your team. You have to get the people who have you, who care about you, who will tell you the truth, like myself and Ken. Brother, we have been talking. I knew it was we could sit there. We've had some long sessions before with Mr. Morshower where we've
oh my Lord.
It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm laying in bed going, come on, Glenn, give it up. All right, I'm about to pass out.
I think the longest I've ever done was 4 hours and 15 minutes with Glenn on a live stream. It's crazy.
The guy's a fucking energizer, buddy.
He's unbelievable. Yeah,
he is. He's amazing. Karen says, this is the best therapy coaching session ever. Well, thank you, Karen, for being here. Appreciate you. Be sure to share it, as Mr. Ken would say. We appreciate that. We got Ray in the house. I think Ray's also in the Ray's in here. He says Misfits for life. So thank you for being here, Ray. Tom is talking about settling. Yeah, mediocrity. As soon as you settle for less than you deserve, you get less than you settle for. And Susan here, I wanted to highlight this. She goes, I am doing much better. I went off my antidepressants this month. I am very excited for this change. Very scary. Good job, Susan. We got you. We got you, Susan. Let's see what other we got. Larry in the house. Just make sure
just put up. Geez, down at the bottom. You see that?
What was that?
Karen.
Oh, this lady
put up. Who's
Barbara
Rausch? That's your same last name. Is that your wife?
That's my wife. She's actually watching one of my shows. I'm glad I didn't say anything. Normally I say shit about her. Yeah, she's a great show. Right. I do. I'm like, she's going to see these shows after I'm dead. She's like, you fucker, you said that to me about, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. But Karen says, a neighbor who I thought were our friends told me that my late husband is in hell because he didn't think he had accepted Christ.
Wow.
Well, that's pretty funny because there was a certain set of family members that wouldn't let me in their house because I didn't accept Christ. Wow. Huh, babe? Yeah, those people aren't watching my show either.
Which is honestly, that's the opposite of what being a Christian is. Like, okay, I've been in sales my whole life. So if I was selling being a Christian, I would be like, hey, dude, you want to accept Christ? And you go, no, thanks. Okay. Next day, I'm going to be, hey, dude, change your mind yet? You in enough pain? You want to accept Christ? No, I'm good. Okay, no problem, dude. I'm not giving up. Like, I'm not, oh, well, you SOB. How dare you not accept Christ? I mean, I've asked you 1,500 times. Like, part of the deal is, if you're going to be, we'll talk about this in a second, but like Sam Kinison did a bit. Do you remember Sam Kinison did the bit about, he said, he's like, I saw this new commercial for Rockers Against Drugs. He's like, I was like, what the hell? What? Like, rock created drugs. Are you kidding me? Like,
it was rad. It was RADD, Rockers Against Drugs.
Rockers. Yeah. So and he goes, that's like Christians against Christ. Like, it was, but anyway, I'll never forget that. But dude, like being a Christian, and I'm a Christian, if you're a Christian, like your job is to not judge, but just to be a living example, so people are attracted to that. Not be a douchebag, so people are not attracted to it.
Oh, dude, I have so many stories about that. That would take us into another hour-long show. But yeah. So no, thank you, man. Thank you for being here. I want to capture some of these other comments. Karen says, I already shared, Ken, the first time I shared something on my personal Facebook since Larry passed. Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my wife says my brother said I was going to hell for dating you. Yeah, that's I was trying not to say names, but what'd you say? You're probably right. I don't know. According to my therapist, she might be telling him she is in hell. I don't know. I love you, babe. Karen said it felt great to share that. So thank you for sharing, Karen. Appreciate you for being here and your honesty. Andrew says here exactly. Karen says faith, hope, love, the greatest of these. Absolutely. Amen. So listen, I want to get you out the show. and get you some rest. So
Thank you, bro.
what are some final thoughts, Mr. Ken Walls? Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being here. What are some final thoughts for the listeners, for the viewers tonight, and where can people continue the conversation with you?
I mean, dude, my final thoughts are, it's the voices, it's the stories that are holding you back. So go look at ways to reprogram your mind. Your mind is the only thing stopping you. It's the only thing, nothing else. So, look, most people on here already do follow me, or friends of mine or whatever, but anybody else, just, hit me up. I'm maxed out on Facebook, but, and there's my website. I have a fan page. You can follow me there. You can follow me on my personal page. There's a lot of fake profiles using my pictures for whatever reason.
I saw that. You're an ambassador.
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, Facebook just gave me the blue check mark on my personal page. I think partially because of all the fake profiles. I don't know. It's crazy, dude. It's nuts. It's nuts, but yeah. So,
sometimes you feel like
sometimes
nobody's copying my shit. Nobody's out there going, "Hey, I'm going to wear a bandana with a hat on backwards." So I guess I got a niche. I'm going to say that, and somebody's got to do something. Watch.
I'm going to start doing it. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls.
You should. Have you ever seen the episode where Scott punked me and showed up as my brother?
Oh my God.
Yeah, no. I think it was when we were doing the Friday Night Live show. He showed up. Was he? Vinny. Was he Vinny Rausch? Yeah, he showed up and he was like, my long lost brother, wore a bandana, kind of painted stuff on. It was hysterical.
That is funny, dude.
So we did part of a show that way, and I was like, I can't remember what his name was. Vinny. I have it saved. I have the link saved somewhere. I have to share that, but this is crazy. This is crazy. So yes,
well, hey,
Andrew
man,
says,
I do want to say thank you for having me on. I told my wife I was going to be on with you, and she loves you, man. She's like, oh my God, I love him. She really does, man. So you're making such a positive impact in this world, bro. I see you. I don't always comment or get on your stuff. We're both very busy, but man, I see what you're doing. You're making a huge impact in this world. You're helping people. You're changing lives, man. There are people that I know that you've changed their life. So good job, man. Keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Thank you, brother Ken. I appreciate you. I'm going to stick you backstage here for a second, and I'm going to finish out the show. You don't go anywhere. You know how that works. Okay. Yep. So thank you very much, Ken. Thank you. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Keeping this under an hour as per your request. So yes, Susan Day says, yes, he is amazing. Tom says, love you both. We love and appreciate each one of you guys. Yes, I know, Darlene, you over in Florida is past your bedtime. Thank you so much for tuning in. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The center focus of this conversation tonight is that we have to take responsibility for where it is that we're at in our journey. And we don't have to accept blame and responsibility for what happened in our childhood, but we have to accept responsibility now if we're choosing to still rewrite that story back into our brain as though it were yesterday. If we consider to live in those limited beliefs, so we can consider, if we can consider that, something that has held us back up until this point, we can use the power of the word perhaps, right? We were talking about the language that we use. And another great book out there for you guys, if you haven't heard about it, is called What Not to Say When You Talk to Yourself. I think it's what not to say when you talk to yourself. It was a phenomenal book for me in rewriting a lot of the language that I use, because I didn't realize the power of the words that we do use on ourselves. Oh, I'm always stupid, or I never do it right. Always and never are powerful words. And when you use those on yourself, like I always screw up, or I never do things right, those are two words that you can immediately remove from your vocabulary and just say, that used to happen to me previously. Or if you haven't done something, say yet. I haven't been able to master that yet. I am working on that, and I haven't been able to do that yet. Start throwing some positive opportunities in there for you to see that there is a way that you can change what it is that's not working for you. It's about becoming aware. It's about realizing and recognizing that if you're not happy with your life, that's the first indication. That's the first indication. Used to ask my coaching clients 2 questions. Are you excited about when you get up in the morning, where it is that you're going and what you're doing? And when you're there, say for example, your job, are you excited for where you're going and who you're going home to? You answer those 2 questions. You answer them honestly. And if they're both yes, that's a pretty kick-ass amazing life. But if you answer those questions, or if you're afraid to answer those questions, then you have some work to do. And that's where it is that you become aware. That's where it is that you become responsible for changing what it is that's not working. And Ken said it so brilliantly. The fact that, it's uncomfortable, it's hard, it's icky. We don't want to deal with that. Oh, maybe if I just ignore it, maybe if I just play the someday game, hoping, wishing, and praying that someday it's going to go away. It's not. But what's going to happen is you're going to have regrets. Again, a famous book, The 5 Regrets of the Dying. If you have not read that, go read The 5 Regrets. The number one regret is that people didn't live the life they wanted to live. They lived the life they thought they were supposed to live. So they got into the family business. They did whatever anybody else wanted them to do. And that was the regret, that they lived their entire life being somebody who they weren't, to get validation from somebody who wasn't even around anymore. So think about that, ladies and gentlemen. The only validation, the only significance, the only approval that you need is from inside. Take it from me, the No Excuses Coach. I have been on a journey, finding myself, discovering myself, pretending to be somebody I wasn't, not even realizing I was doing it. So I had to become aware and I had to take action for that. That's what this show is about. This show is about you taking responsibility for where you're at in the journey. Reach out to myself, reach out to Ken, reach out to somebody, establish a relationship, get somebody who's going to hold you accountable, somebody who's going to tell you the truth, and make a commitment to yourself. Make a promise to yourself that 2022 is going to be your year. It's not going to be a year of excuses. It's going to be a year of kicking ass and taking names, doing 75 hard, doing things that challenge you, because guess what? When you look back on your story, and if I ask you this question, when did you learn the most? Was it when things were easier or when things were challenging? Of course, when things were challenging. So if you learn from your mistakes, then I tell you to go make more. What are we saying? That it's all stepping stones to get you where you need to go. It's all part of that journey. Go watch the hero's journey. I promise you'll love it. Come back here and comment on it. We got Lynn in the house. What's up, Lynn? Thank you so much for being here. She says, amen, little brother. Thank you, big sis. I appreciate you. All right, that's it for the Raw and Unscripted show. I'm Christopher Rausch, the No Excuses Coach. Thank you so much for being here. Please get in touch with Ken Walls. Let him know how the show impacted you. Continue the conversation with him. And we'll see you here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Raw and Unscripted show. I am Christopher Rausch. I love you guys. You guys are misfits for life. We'll see you next time. Be good to yourself and be good to others. Be the change you bitch about. Love you guys. Peace.